My name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today I wanted to talk about remembering relief. If you've studied Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks, one of the things that this wise teacher talks about is the emotional scale. And the challenge when we face depression, anxiety, overwhelm, or feelings that are lower on the emotional scale, if we want to put that in the vertical axis of understanding, is that a lot of two-leggeds are going to want to jump or be told even to jump from that place down here on the scale up to, just get joyous, get positive, get happy, get cracking on being happy. It's like, okay, well, I'm down here. And so I'm not going to be able to leap across that chasm. If I'm experiencing abject poverty and scarcity thinking and the concept of limitation and the belief that I don't have the ability to step out of a given situation that causes lack, causes not enoughness, I'm not going to go from there to being a millionaire the next day. We are experiencing a time-space delusion in which it doesn't have to take a lot of time. As a general rule, though, we are working with frequencies. We are working with energies. We are working with vibrations. And so in order to if we're going to you can take it horizontal or vertical axis. I tend to want to look at things in the vertical axis because in a sense they're unified. And I think when we get horizontal, there can be something that occurs in the consciousness where there's a disconnect. It's like, I'm over there, yeah, getting over here. It's like, no, I'm just breathing up the scale. I'm breathing down the scale. I'm breathing up the scale. It's the inhale and the exhale of that. So there's this quality, there's this component. If you are if you feel depressed right now, if you feel anxious, if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel, it makes me think of the Mighty Boosh saying, flat it out. There's an episode of the Mighty Boosh where they say that. It's hilarious. It's one that I love so much. But I feel that. I feel as though life at times, it flattened it out. It flattened me out. I've gone from being a person to a sheet of paper on the ground. If you're feeling that pressure and overwhelm, first of all, one of the things I want to point to is if you have developed emotional intelligence, if you've experienced yourself or have been called sensitive, if you identify with being empathic, if you identify with your psychic abilities, which everyone has, in order to attune to them, you would get to listen to your emotions because that's that gut feeling or that emotional component of that inner wisdom of intuition comes through the way we feel. So if you're one that listens to feelings, and you relate to what I'm saying right now, it's important to note, first of all, if you're feeling really low on the emotional scale, if you're feeling more in the exhale of that, it's important to note some of it might not be yours. Some of it might not be yours. I talk often about AkashicResources.com, where I've gotten many readings. My Dharma reading really shifted Rare Bird Medicine into offering online classes. We have an apprenticeship coming up on the shamanic path in 2022, and all of that launched from there. And one of the things that the Akashic Resources readings have pointed to is that as an empath, many of my reports have pointed to very developed empathy, very developed emotional awareness and ability to receive others where they are emotionally. And it even said directly, like, I am empathing the way the world feels right now. And I do not think on any level I'm alone in that. I think a lot of you out there are feeling the allness of the consciousness that two-leggeds choose to hold about their experience. One of the great freedoms that free will offers is it offers perspective. And it offers you the freedom to choose the perspective you are going to hold in relationship to your world and what you're handed. Now, I am well aware that I am not the boss of what I'm handed because my mom and dad and 48 other people would still be alive if I was getting to boss the universe around about what Heather gets handed. What I can tell you is that what the universe has handed me with death and change and trauma and shadow teacher, false evidence appearing real, fear-based teacher, as I've integrated it and as I continue to digest it and I continue to find the value in that teacher, is that it has offered me greater depth, greater flavor, greater color, greater profundity. That teacher offers a lot of that. And sometimes we are going through some of that in our own personal lives. We're having a death. We're having something that is literally causing, we lost a job, we lost a partner, a friendship, or, we're going through something that is causing some of these deep exhale, lower frequency, if we wanted to label it, vibrational emotions. And then we can start to feel a little pin there. But when on top of that, you're empathing the world, and you're empathing the world's pain, and we have nearly 8 billion people, and many of them are not in a space where they've chosen proper perspective to see the value in shadow teacher, to integrate shadow teacher, to allow false evidence appearing real to be a teacher, even though it's been here at our school forever. It is a difficult teacher in my experience to accept, and it takes time, and it takes a lot of integration work and a lot of medicine work. It's still something that Heather Feather works on, is the integration of shadow. So first of all, you may be, empathically receiving more. And so you can always psychic shield. The most classic form of psychic shielding that's been around for ages is just white light. Ball of white light, pillar of white light. You can choose your shape. You can choose sacred geometry of white light if you're more mathematically inclined. But just experiencing yourself being in a ball of white light, your energy with you, the world's energy with the world, so that you're not daily processing the heightened emotional frequency that is present as two-leggeds continue to make this choice. How are you going to hold your world that is in a constant state of change? What perspective will you choose? Will you speak to your gratitudes, or will you choose to constantly point to what is not working, does not serve, hurts, is painful? So first there's that piece, that empathetic, emotionally intelligent component of receiving others in addition to what you're going through. And then second, I would say, sometimes we're processing our own things, as I've said. And it's important to know, if you're depressed and super anxious and overwhelmed and worried, what's been coming up, I've had many two-leggeds in the past 2 weeks contact me around concerns about death, feeling states of abject fear, not necessarily suicidal ideation, but not wanting to be here. That's come through the pipeline a bunch. And on the shamanic path, I can see that things shake in the web. I can see the signs, symbols, and clues are pointing to this particular moral lesson, arcana, or secret of existence. And so what I'm seeing is this very feeling stuckness in a very low vibration feeling. So the aim in that, you may be even going through your own things. You may be even going through your own challenges right now. The aim in that would be to find relief, to remember that relief is an option. So maybe going up the scale, hope is something I used to be like, well, what is hope doing? Get it done. You can sit around and hope, but and that came from some of the training and teachings I've received, and I appreciate that. And hope is a far cry from depression, actually, and is a valuable component of the emotional scale. If you are hopeful that things can be different when you're feeling stuckness, then that actually is an unfolding and awakening and evolution, an inhale into the breath of a higher frequency type of thinking, and therefore resultant feeling. So what I want to say is, if you're feeling flatted out, if you feel flatted out by this year, last year, what's going on in your own personal life, what you're dealing with, my dear, one of the things you can remember is to start to reach for relief. And how do we reach for relief? How do we grab hold of a little bit of relief when we're feeling stuck? Well, here are a couple of really simple ways to start to give the self relief. One very simple way is to simply close your eyes. Just close your eyes and begin to breathe. Why is that valuable? Because we are predominantly in a beta brainwave state when we're awake. That's 14 to 40 hertz. When you move towards 40 hertz, you're usually at an increased anxiety overwhelm status in a beta brainwave state. And what you want to do is bring the hertz down closer to the next brainwave state, which is known as alpha, which goes from 7.5 to 14 hertz. theta then comes next. And that 7.5 bridge between alpha and theta is where hypnosis occurs. It's also where you can reprogram your subconscious mind. It's also where you actively get to use your free will to have new thoughts in the timeline. And you're usually in that alpha theta 7.5 hertz state right upon awakening, right upon going to sleep, and right after meditation. So the first thing you can do that is really simple practice to remember and grab hold of some relief right now is throughout the day, just close your eyes. You can even set a calendar reminder or put sticky notes, or there are a lot of tools we have at our fingertips that we can aid ourselves to remember that relief is an option. And a form of that relief can be closing the eyes. A form of that relief can be taking your bare naked feet and setting them upon the earth so that the electromagnetic field of your heart, which is 3 meters wide, connects and communes with the electromagnetic field of the earth and becomes entwined to a greater frequency of that which is natural in a technology age. So that's another simple, free way to remember and then actively grab hold and reach out and hold relief. Another way would be to breathe. We tend to hold the breath when we're in tense states, definitely trauma states. If you get in a car accident or you hear that somebody died, the tendency is to hold the breath and take that into the musculature, which then holds the memory. So I've worked with Emily Ashley, Danny Hallam, Hallam, and Emily Ashley, both powerful rebirthing breathwork people that you can find on Facebook. And really getting the breath back into the body is one of the ways we can remove that trauma that is memorized in the musculature and release it. So another way is to just start breathing. You could pour yourself a cup of chamomile tea. You could drink some water. You could take a break from whatever you're placing pressure upon yourself to get done in the given day and say, part of my day is taking a break. Taking a break. I'm working with someone I dearly love with every fiber of my being. And one of the offerings I've given to this sacred soul that came to do great things is to set a calendar reminder. You can determine based on your time conversation right now whether that's going to be once, twice, or thrice per day. But you set a calendar reminder to go off on your phone and have it tell you, check in with needs. So simply 1 to 3 times per day, you stop no matter what you're doing and you check in with your needs. Do I need to go to the restroom? Do I need to breathe? Do I need to close my eyes? Do I need some water? Have I eaten? Did I get enough sleep last night? If you do that for 30 days, you will start to naturally, daily, check in with your needs. A lot of times we're in a heightened level of anxiety, stress, and overwhelm because we are facing this basic component of not meeting our needs. So you may be absorbing from others, you may be going through your own things, and you also might not be meeting your needs. So what I'm inviting and invoking for myself and for you through these videos is to choose to reach for relief, to hold relief and to know that's an option. That is an option. That is a choice your free will can use to choose on the daily. And it may require, if your attention is gripped with ire, with pain, with suffering, it may require you to set a reminder to remember relief. Remember relief is an option this day. In 2022, Rare Bird Medicine, myself, Heather Feather, is going to offer a shamanic apprenticeship. This will be offered to a small group of people. It is going to be a year-long study. It's going to start January 5th from 6 to 8 p.m. Mountain Time. It'll be every Wednesday evening. We will have an online Zoom call. You will get a weekly call with me as a shamanic counselor. And what we will do in January is we will begin remembering that relief. The month of January will be all about release, letting go, and surrender. And so our actual New Year's resolutions, if you choose those on an annual basis, will begin in February. Because before we can add to our plate, we must first clear the plate. So January will be a major plate clearing part of the year. I am on TikTok now as Rare Bird Heather. And you can always subscribe on YouTube, like, comment, share your opinions. If you go to rarebirdmedicine.com and you click on the classes link, you can look at the shamanic apprenticeship that will be offered to a select few. It's $50 per week, or the equivalent of a few coffees. The modern age, they're so darn expensive. or $2,000 is the annual cost total. And I am offering and extending to you that you will have increased prosperity, increased awareness of self. You will have a tenfold return on what I give you, or you'll have your money back in full. I hope you'll be able to join us on that journey in the coming year. Be gentle with yourself, and remember, relief is available. Blessed be.